Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here. So we got some big news. The Indianapolis Colts are trading quarterback Carson Wentz to the Washington Commanders. So we're going to break down everything, including what the Washington Commanders had to give up. How much will Carson Wentz count against the cap this year? When will they be able to get out of the deal? And what does this mean for the Washington Commanders quarterback search in the future? And will they still draft a QB this year? So we'll talk about that and much, much more. If you guys are new though, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content. Hit that like button and turn on those notifications so you never miss a video. And also go ahead and follow my Twitter. First link in the description. Now, let's get into the video. Boy, is this going to take a lot of time to get used to. So let's first go over everything, from what we had to give up and everything like that before I give you guys my opinion on this because, spoiler, I'm not a huge fan of the trade, but let's see. Adam Schefter says Colts are trading quarterback Carson Wentz to Washington for a package of picks and is thought to include 2 third-round picks. Sources tell ESPN it ended up being the Colts will get a 2022 third-round pick, a 2023 third-round pick that can become a second if Carson Wentz plays 70% of the plays, and then a 2022 second-round pick. Washington Commanders get Carson Wentz and a 2022 second-round pick. So we're swapping second-round picks. We're going from 42 to 47, and they will get a third this year and a third, likely a second in 2022, but it could be a third if the Carson Wentz experiment doesn't work out or if he gets hurt. Either one, then it'll be a third. Either way, though, that is a lot to give up for a quarterback that, likely was going to get traded, but we heard, rumblings a couple weeks ago that it was likely that he was going to get released. The last couple weeks, we've heard more things about him possibly getting traded, but I did not think it was going to take 2/3. Basically, let's keep it real. A third this year and a second next year, very likely, and a pick swap in the second round, which is pretty valuable. 5 spots is pretty valuable, especially in the second round. I'm sorry, let's get into the pros and cons. Let's start off with the positives, I guess, and in my opinion, he's definitely an upgrade over Taylor Heinicke. We'll see how much of an upgrade, but he is no doubt an upgrade over Taylor Heinicke. Another, I guess, positive is that you can get out of the deal after 1 year. And real quick, let's go into so he's going to cost $28 million this year against the cap, I believe. That is a lot of money. 28 out of our $33 million in cap space will go to Carson Wentz. We'll see if we're able to restructure. I really, really hope we are because, we're going to have to do something. I bet you Landon Collins is gone. Maybe some other guys are going to have to be, cap casualties for the Washington Commanders to be able to sign some free agents, re-sign their own guys. This is going to be very, very tough for the Washington Commanders to re-sign all their free agents and still go ahead and sign some of the guys that they want to in free agency. But back to the positives. Upgrade over Heinicke, can get out of it in 1 year. So if it doesn't work out this season, they can move on from him and have no dead money on their books. But again, that won't be a good thing because it means we wasted 2 third-round picks, maybe a second-round pick. And another, positive is he's still somewhat young, I believe 29 years old, and has played at an MVP level before, so he definitely has potential. But I still think there was better options out there, especially for the price. So this past season, 62% completion percentage, not great. 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. That's pretty good. But, again, these are just numbers. When you actually watch him, you don't really see that level of play. And a 94.6 pass rating. He was solid this year, but I really want to take a deeper look into, his opponents, because they played a lot of bad teams, and I want to see how he performed against the good teams. You see that Week 18 game, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and a fumble loss against you can see this right here. I guess against the Cardinals, he played pretty well right there, but it's going to take a lot of time to get used to. We're going to get into the numbers in a little bit. But right now, let's get into the negatives, in my opinion. So first off, It's a $28 million cap hit, at least for now. We'll see if the contract gets restructured, but for now, it's a $28 million cap hit, and that's just a lot for a quarterback that I don't think is necessarily worth that. We'll see. The jury's still out on him. We'll see. The next thing is we gave up a third and another third that could turn into a second. I mean, to me, that is way too much to pay for a Carson Wentz, who could be an average starting quarterback in this league, maybe even better than that, but I don't know. I don't think he is worth that. A second and a third, I guess, is a future pick, so it's worth a little bit less, but still, I just don't think that's what maybe it was the market for him, but I'm really having a hard time believing that there were other teams willing to give up. I mean, obviously there wasn't a team willing to give up more than what we gave up, but I don't think there's many teams that were willing to give up a similar price to what we gave up for him. I mean, that's a lot for a guy that a lot of people were thinking might get released. And another con is that he was just in a situation that really suited him. Frank Reich really helped him out in Philly, and I mean, they were really good friends, and they worked really, really well together. And I mean, a lot of people were saying when Carson Wentz got traded to the Colts, if Frank Reich can't fix him, no one can. And I mean, he did have a much better season this past season than he did before, but still, at the end of the day, it didn't work out. They weren't able to make the playoffs, and I don't know. It's a red flag when they're trading him away. Allegedly, it's more the ownership being more frustrated with Carson Wentz than, Frank Reich. So I guess that's a little bit of a positive, but not much. And also another negative, we gave up a second round swap for him. So, I mean, that's 5 pick slots that, really makes it tougher to get one of those top QBs in the second, like a Desmond Ridder or a Sam Howell. Another negative, he's known to not be a great leader, not really great in the locker room, very polarizing player in the locker room. In Philly, that was hurt a ton, and in the Colts, not so much, but still there were some rumblings with definitely some rumblings about his leadership in the Colts organization. So that's a negative right there. And he's sensitive to younger QBs. I mean, we saw what happened with Jalen Hurts. That's what ultimately got him out of Philly. They were not comfortable with each other. More Carson Wentz wasn't. He's just sensitive to those guys. And especially, not even younger quarterbacks, but just backups in general, like Nick Foles really pushed him. And that's what started to cause a lot of drama. So if Washington were to decide to draft a guy, is he going to mesh well with Wentz? I mean, I don't think it's really an issue for the rookie, but it's more of an issue for Carson Wentz. So that is something that they are going to have to figure out. Again, I think he is an upgrade over Taylor Heinicke. And if we look at the situation he was in last year, pretty good offensive line, not as good as usual because they were dealing with a ton of injuries, but he had a good offensive line, probably similar to what we had here, a little bit better, but normally they're like a top 3, top 2 offensive line in football, but they were really banged up last year. They had one of the best running backs in football, probably the best running back in football last season, especially once Derrick Henry went out, and solid tight ends, not any stars, but some good depth there with Jack Doyle, Mo Alley Cox. The receivers, though, not really good. I mean, our receiving core was not good at all last year, and ours was better than theirs. They had Michael Pittman and really no one else because their whole receiving core was injured, kind of similar to what we had. So, I mean, I don't know. I think we have an upgrade at the tight end position and the receiver position. They have a big upgrade at the running back position, and offensive line, when they're healthy, is better than ours. So Carson Wentz is an upgrade. We'll see how much of an upgrade. If somehow he can rekindle that kind of 2017 to 2019 magic that he had, where 2019 was able to bring him to the playoffs, 2017, got him to the Super Bowl. I mean, he didn't physically get him there because he did get hurt, but he had an MVP type season that year. And I don't know. I have to reflect on this, but initially I don't love the move at all just because I think there's other guys. Like, you could have paid Jameis Winston $10 million a year, $12 million, maybe even $15 million a year. Much better than $28 million. I think Jameis Winston at this point is a similar quarterback to what Carson Wentz is. Some people might think he's better. Some people might think he's worse, but I don't think there's a huge difference between the two. You won't have to give up any picks for him, and he would be, he's a good leader. Yeah, at least the last few years, he's been a pretty good leader. So, like, that to me would make so much more sense than paying 13 to 15 million more for Carson Wentz, giving up a third, a second likely, and a pick swap. I think there were better options out there. There were worse ones, though. Like, I'd rather have Carson Wentz than Jimmy G, who is Carson Wentz is definitely injury prone, but this past season, played the full year. 2020, he was healthy I think the whole year, but they benched him for Jalen Hurts. 2019, healthy all year. He got a concussion in the playoffs. 2018 was hurt. I can't remember what it was, maybe a back injury. And 2017, he had a I think it was that was the ACL year. Sorry, that was the ACL year. So Carson Wentz, again, upgrade over Heineke. He has really good talent. He was the second overall pick for a reason. Can rush okay, not really that much, around 200 yards per season. Gets some touchdowns, about 2 a year. 2020 had 5, 2021 had 1, so big difference right there. He's a solid passer, but his decision making is crazy at times. Like, he'll make a throw, like, why are you doing that? And his ball security isn't the best. Let me see if I can find a fumble here. So he lost 5 this past year, 4. So not terrible. He's improved over the last couple of years, but still, I don't know. This is going to take a lot of time to process. Not a huge fan of it. I want to hear what you guys have to say. I know not many people are fans of this move, so we'll see. And how this affects our search for the quarterback of the future. Well, Carson Wentz is going to be our starter this year unless he gets hurt, which hopefully doesn't happen. I still think there's a possibility of drafting a quarterback. Not likely, but like Kenny Pickett and Matt Corral, I think they're out of the question at 11 because those guys are ready to play right away, and Carson Wentz is our starter. Malik Willis is still a possibility, but less likely now, and they still could go for a guy in the second or third round, and I would encourage it. Like, I'm not a big fan of Carson Strong, but, why not take a flyer on him? And, if he doesn't work out, okay, yes, you wasted a third or whatever. I guess we don't have a third round pick anymore, but at least you tried and you had a chance to get a franchise guy, and you move on for next year. Desmond Ridder would be a guy that I would not mind taking in the second round and seeing how he pans out. And if he doesn't pan out, okay, you're back to the drawing board for next year. But that's what it looks like. Maybe Carson Wentz hits, and he's a guy that we can, he's an average starting quarterback in the NFL, maybe a little bit more. But likely that it's not going to hit. Likely that, he's not going to rekindle that magic from 2017 and, even 2019. And he's going to be, maybe he's gone next year. Maybe he is gone. So thank you guys for watching the video. I hope you guys did enjoy it. Hit that like button and turn on those notifications so you never miss a video. Peace, guys.